So welcome to the annual Martin Buber lecture. Now the Israeli Academy has two divisions. One is the science division, the other is the humanities and social sciences. The science division has an annual lecture, the Einstein lecture. The humanities division has an annual lecture, which is the Buber lecture. And you can see here the list of past speakers. And by the way, you can find everything, all these lectures on YouTube, on the Academy website. So, and they were very nice and interesting lectures. Today, we have David Nirenberg, and it's quite unusual relative to the last 5 or 6 years. This is the 2025 lecture, and it is given in 2025. Okay? The 2022, the lecture, the 2020 was given in 2022. You know, there was a pandemic, there is war, various difficulties. The 22 lecture was given in 2023. The 2024, I think one of them was never given. We are still waiting. But anyway, 2025 is 2025. We caught up. So that's very nice. And we are very happy about that. And I want to invite the president of the Academy to open this session. Please, David.
Good afternoon. Good evening, everyone. Dear Professor David Nirenberg, this year's esteemed Buber lecturer, dear Professor Nili Cohen, past president of the Academy, Professor Sergiu Hart, chair of the Academy's Humanities Division and chair of the evening, dear Professor Bartal, who will present our lecture, many fellow Academy members, distinguished guests, both those present here in the auditorium and those joining us via live broadcast or later on. So in 2009, the Israel Academy decided to establish an annual lecture series in the name of Martin Buber, great scholar, thinker, and spiritual leader who served as the Academy's first president. And I can say in my own name, but I think in the names of several of the previous presidents, his status as first president of the Academy humbles us all. And he left his mark on the character and identity of the Academy. And today is another lecture in the series, as we have seen. In the spirit of Buber's personality, the lectures in the series are usually of a diverse nature in the humanities and the social sciences, and are intended to address a broad audience of researchers and interested individuals. Martin Buber's vision was based on a profound belief in the power of genuine dialogue to bridge between worlds, between cultures, and between different faiths. Key to his well-known I-thou approach is his belief in the human as the key to mutual understanding and shared spiritual growth. In the unbelievable times we are going through these days, as Israel continues to grapple with existential challenges, and as we witness alarmingly deepening social divisions, Buber's approach takes on new and urgent significance. His call for genuine dialogue based on mutual recognition and respect for the other is not merely a philosophical ideal, it is an existential necessity for our reality, as articulated in his famous statement that all real living is meeting. Fittingly, this evening we have the privilege of hearing Professor David Nirenberg, director of the Institute for Advanced Study in Princeton. If there's anyone here who doesn't know what that institute is, please go do your homework. And a renowned scholar worldwide in his own right, and he'll be lecturing on the powers of history in Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. David Nirenberg's unique approach to interreligious historical research correlates very nicely with Martin Buber's vision. While Buber emphasized the importance of the personal encounter, Nirenberg uses a wide-angle lens to study how the three major monotheistic religions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, have helped shape one another throughout history in what he terms historical co-production. He demonstrates how at any given moment the interpretation of the past has profoundly shaped the ability of these three communities, the Jewish, the Muslim, and the Christian, to imagine one another, and to understand their present and future. His lecture is expected to raise fundamental questions relevant to our present-day reality. How does the way we understand history affect our ability to live together? And how can academic research help serve a bridge between cultures and between different traditions of thought, leading to a better future? And even more than that, I believe that Professor Nirenberg's lecture can offer us something really precious, knowledge-based hope, the expectation that a deeper understanding of the past, ours and that of others, will open up new possibilities for the future. As Pulitzer Prize winner Robert Penn Warren once wrote, and I quote, "History cannot give us a program for the future, but it can give us a fuller understanding of ourselves and of our common humanity so that we can better face the future." And David Nirenberg's abstract for this evening's lecture further strengthens this, and I'm quoting, "Grasping this essential feature of the powers of the past in these religious traditions and in the modern discipline of history expands the possibilities for the future." This is precisely the promise of academic research, not only to understand the past, but to shape a better future. Dear David, oh, how would I love to have spent several more minutes singing your praise, thanking you deeply for coming, and then ending by wishing everyone a pleasant and thought-provoking evening, learning about how to use the past to improve the future. But no, with all due respect to the past and the future, one cannot turn one's eyes away from the terrible, terrible present. One must confront the facts up front, and I apologize to you for doing so, nay, for having to do so. So now, 667 days after the savage, inhuman massacre of October 7, 50 hostages are still held by Hamas in Gaza. 20 of them are believed to be alive, but judging by the just released videos, at least 2 of those appear to be slowly approaching the horrifying end of their lives. How can we go about our day-to-day business peacefully knowing this? Moreover, how many Gazans have we killed since October? 70,000? Perhaps as many as 100,000? Among them, what, 17,000 children? Maybe 18,000? How many more are starving and dying as we speak? What percentage of Gaza's buildings and infrastructure we destroyed by an indiscriminate bombing and bulldozing? And how many people's homes and lives have been ruined as a result? No one knows the exact numbers, of course, but what we are doing there is horrible, shocking, and totally unacceptable regardless. I say we, of course, because we are all in this together. It is done in the name of every Israeli. We will never be able to shake clean of it all, claiming that it was not us. It is us. It is you, it is me, it is he, it is she, and it is our children and grandchildren. Is there an apt title for what is going on in Gaza? Is it indeed genocide, ethnic cleansing perhaps, or maybe merely crimes against humanity? I don't know, and it is not for me to provide the titles. But this much I can say clearly and loudly. It is no longer a war against an enemy. It is no longer justified by even half-respectful reasoning. What we are carrying out in Gaza reeks of blind revenge, messianic craziness, and sheer cruelty. And unbelievably, the basic underlying motivation is cynical self-preservation, both political and personal. Let the havoc continue. Let the orchestra keep on playing, and to hell with all the rest. We have managed to eradicate the genuine, deep show of shock, empathy, and friendship that the world at large exhibited towards us in the aftermath of October 7. it being replaced by fury and rage, protests and riots, deep political isolation, and painful boycotts. What the current Israeli government has been doing to our democracy since coming into power in late 2022 is very bad. Take today's action against the state controller as a bleak example. Still, one might claim that to be Israel's internal problem. However, in stark contrast, we cannot remain silent in the face of the terrible situation in the Gaza Strip, which threatens the lives and health of hundreds of thousands of human beings. This is unequivocally unacceptable, and it must be stopped immediately. Israel's actions in Gaza must end right away. The remaining hostages must be returned. We do not pray for them to return. They are not on a field trip. They have to be returned. Hamas must be disarmed, and Israel must participate in genuine efforts to forge a global Middle East settlement. History will judge us, ladies and gentlemen, not only on our ability to defend ourselves, but also on our willingness to act to prevent human suffering when it is within our power to do so. This is a defining moral moment for the State of Israel and its place in the community of civilized nations. Now is money time for all of us here in the Holy Land, as we have never been so dangerously close to losing the Israel we know and love. But things will change. This darkness will end. It must. There is no other way. We shall prevail, and peace will come. It is up to us all. Sorry again for having to go into this depressing detour, so let's get back to our events. Dear David Nirenberg, we thank you for coming here, Davka, during this challenging period, and for providing us with the opportunity to hear from you on a topic that touches upon the heart of our reality here in the Middle East, the complexity of relations between cultures and religions. Many thanks to the Academy's staff for all the work that went into organizing the event, especially Sima Daniel and Ziva Decker. I wish us all an inspiring lecture that will deepen our understanding and broaden our horizons. Thank you very much.
In 2009, the Jubilee year, the Council of the Israel Academy of Sciences and Humanities decided to establish an annual lecture series named for the Academy's first president, Professor Martin Buber. The lectures in the series are delivered by world-leading scholars on a wide range of topics in the humanities and social sciences and target a broad audience of scholars and laypersons. We are honored that Professor David Nirenberg has accepted the Israel Academy's invitation to deliver the Martin Buber Memorial Lecture. Professor Nirenberg will talk on the powers of history in Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Nirenberg is the 10th director and Leon Levi professor at the Institute for Advanced Study in Princeton, New Jersey. He is known for wide-ranging scholarship spanning historical, literary, artistic, and philosophical genres that helps us better understand how the history of ideas shapes the possibilities of community and communication within and across cultures. His first book, Humanities of Violence, Persecution of Minorities in the Middle Ages, 1996, studied interactions between Jews, Christians, and Muslims in Spain and France to understand the relationship between violence and coexistence in those multi-religious societies. Translated into multiple languages, the book has become classic in medieval history. In his next two books, he set out to explore the work that ideas about Judaism do in Christian, Muslim, and secular thought. In 2011, he published jointly with Herb Kessler, Judaism and Christian Art, Aesthetic Anxieties from the Catacombs to Colonialism, 2011, followed in 2015 by his Aesthetic Theology and Its Enemies, Judaism in Christian Painting, Poetry, and Politics. His best-known book is perhaps the 2013 Anti-Judaism, the Western Tradition, which studies the work done by pagan, Christian, Muslim, and secular thinking about Jews and Judaism across the history of ideas from ancient Egypt through the 20th century. Professor Anthony Grafton suggests that Nirenberg, and I quote, does not trace the millennial story of the Jews and their conflicts with non-Jews, though he does describe individual and communal fights, nor does he compile a catalog of the vile ideas about Jews that non-Jews have entertained and publicized. He wants to know why. Why have so many cultures and so many intellectuals had so much to say about the Jews? More particularly, he wants to know why so many of them generated their descriptions and explanations of Jewishness not out of personal knowledge or scholarly research, but out of thin air and from assumptions, some inherited and others newly minted, that the Jews could be wholly known even to those who know no Jews, end of quote. This book has become a fundamental point of reference for many seeking to understand anti-Semitism today. The following year, he published Neighboring Faith, Christianity, Islam, and Judaism, Medieval and Modern, 2014, showing how in multi-religious societies, lived experiences of interreligious contact interact with conceptual categories and habits of thought, and how this interaction shapes how adherents of all three religions perceive themselves and each other. Together with his father, Ricardo Nirenberg, he then shifted his attention to another habit of thought, the mathematical. In their 2021 book, Uncountable, a philosophical history of number and humanity from antiquity to the present, they sought to understand the powers and limits of the sciences and the humanities. For the past 4 years, he has been collaborating with Professor Katharina Hayden of the University of Bern to understand Islam, Christianity, and Judaism as co-produced religions. Their essay with that title appeared earlier this year in the Harvard Theological Review, and together with an international group of collaborators, they have published a collection entitled The Co-Production of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. In addition to this collaborative project and his leadership of the Institute for Advanced Studies, David is currently studying how humans have applied their agricultural knowledge to thinking about the reproduction of gods and of peoples, publishing fragments of a history of religion and race from the Neolithic to the present. David has received many prizes and honors for his work, including an honorary doctorate from the University of Haifa, Israel, 2016. He has also been elected to the American Philosophical Society, the American Academy of Arts and Sciences, and the Medieval Academy of America. In this evening lecture, Professor Nirenberg will explore the central place of historical thought in the emergence and ongoing development of Islam, Christianity, and Judaism. These three historical religions, historical in the sense that at every moment the interpretation of the past deeply shaped the capacity of Jews, Muslims, and Christians to imagine each other and to conceive their own present and future. In these three traditions, history was and remains co-produced. This process did not end with the European Enlightenment or secular modernity, and the historical imagination of these religions shapes the secular possibilities for historical thought. Modern understandings of the historical, however secular and critical they have understood themselves to be, have been co-produced in intimate relations with the three historical religions. The talk will suggest that grasping the essential feature of the powers of the past in Jewish, Muslim, and Christian traditions and in the modern discipline of history expands the possibilities for the future.